My God, why don't you just disappear? The words hit harder than I could have imagined. They weren't from a stranger in a grocery store or a rude neighbor, they came from Rachel, my daughter-in-law. Her voice was sharp, her hand pointing toward the front door of the house I'd helped them buy. Beside her, my son, my only child, stood with his arms folded. He didn't shout, didn't curse, but when he said, "We'd be better off without you," the quiet finality in his tone shattered something deep inside me. I didn't cry, not there. I simply picked up my purse, let my eyes linger for one last moment on the family photographs in their hallway, and walked out. I had babysat their children every weekend, cooked for them when they were sick, and celebrated even their smallest achievements. That house had once been my second home. Now, I was no longer welcome in it. The cool spring air met me as I stepped outside, my body moving slowly as if waiting for my mind to understand what had just happened. 73 years old, and I had just been told I was disposable. The drive home blurred past, traffic lights, familiar streets, and intersections all faded into the background while their words replayed in my head like an echo that wouldn't fade. Had they always felt this way? Through every Sunday dinner? Every Christmas morning? Were they simply waiting for me to vanish? I pulled into the driveway of my old Victorian on Maple Street. The porch light glowed warmly, as if nothing had changed, yet the woman who stepped through that door was not the same one who had left that morning. Inside, everything was in its place, yet the silence felt heavier. The grandfather clock ticked louder than usual, filling the space where laughter used to live. Along the walls, framed memories stared back at me: David's graduation, the twins' christening, their wedding. I had been woven into those moments. When did I become an afterthought? I wandered upstairs, my hand brushing the faded baseball sticker still clinging to David's bedroom door. The room smelled faintly of the lavender sachets I'd always tucked in his drawers. We had been a team after his father died, closer than close. Somewhere along the years, that closeness had thinned, frayed, and finally broken. Rachel hadn't always been hostile. At first, there were only small corrections: the way I folded the children's clothes, the snacks I brought, my opinions on bedtime routines. "We've got it handled," she'd say with a smile that never touched her eyes. I adapted, I visited less, I stopped bringing unapproved gifts, I stayed out of the way, but no matter how carefully I stepped, it was never enough. The turning point came over something as small as a casserole dish, my grandmother's ceramic one. Rachel had borrowed it for a dinner party and never returned it. When I asked for it back, her annoyance sharpened into accusation. "You're overstepping, you always do." It wasn't about the dish, it was about every invisible line I had crossed without knowing, every unspoken rule I had broken by caring too much. From that day, their grievances seemed to spill out, like the Christmas when I unknowingly duplicated their planned gift for the twins. I hadn't asked, they said. That was my crime. Afterward, the silence grew. My phone stopped ringing, the twins didn't call, David didn't check in. I was being erased quietly, deliberately. At church, when friends asked why they never saw my family anymore, I smiled and lied: swim meets, work deadlines, anything to cover the truth. But at night, memories flooded in uninvited: David's first steps in the living room, his teenage band practices in the basement, the graduation party under the fairy lights in the backyard. Somewhere along the line, I had gone from essential to unnecessary. There is a very particular ache in being forgotten by the people you built your life around. I still set the table for one, I still bought the tea the twins liked, I still left the porch light on, as if its glow might guide them back. But deep down, I knew they weren't coming. Selling the house wasn't an act of anger, it was a slow, quiet decision. One morning, sunlight spilled across a kitchen that hadn't hosted a family breakfast in months, and I whispered to myself, "I want to live before I die." That week, I called Richard, an old friend from church who now worked in real estate. When I told him my plan, he looked startled. "You've lived there for over 50 years, he said. "It's been my anchor," I replied, "but maybe now it's my chain." We talked for hours: market values, investments, what it meant to sell the house I always thought David would inherit. He asked twice if I was sure. I wasn't. How could I be, when every corner still held a memory? But I knew I couldn't stay in a place that echoed with absence. I told him to find me a cash buyer. "They'll probably tear it down," he warned. Oddly, the thought didn't hurt. It felt like relief. Let them build something new. Let the past make space for something that hasn't yet been imagined. When the check cleared, the number on the deposit slip felt unreal. My empty calendar filled with meetings, financial planners, realtors, estate specialists, I gave myself 3 weeks to pack a lifetime. I started with easy rooms, bathroom, laundry, closets, sorting into keep, donate, discard. Then came the harder spaces, David's childhood bedroom, the master I'd shared with James, the living room where we'd played games with the twins. I touched everything, James's sweater, David's first grade drawing, a chipped mug from Vermont. I packed my grandmother's china, not knowing if anyone would want it, but unable to let it go. The photographs were the hardest. I made 3 albums, one for David, one for the twins, one for me, and digitized the rest. As the rooms emptied, the house seemed to expand, its memories louder. I wasn't just leaving a building, I was leaving a version of myself. Richard showed me properties near the coast until I found it, a modest 2-bedroom with a balcony overlooking the dunes. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the endless stretch of ocean. "This is it," I whispered, breathing in the salt air. I brought only what mattered, photo albums, James's pocket watch, my grandmother's rocking chair. The rest was new, chosen for me alone, a soft seafoam sofa, crisp linens, art of the sea, my dining table now seated 4, not 8. On my first night, I sat outside as stars emerged over the water. The waves rolled in, steady, unhurried. The ocean didn't ask anything of me, it simply let me exist. My phone stayed silent, no message from Rachel, no check-in from David, no call from the twins. Did they know I had moved? Did they care? It didn't matter anymore. Their silence no longer broke me. It became part of who I was becoming. I was learning to exist without needing to be needed. For the first time in decades, I wasn't waiting for an invitation into someone else's life. I was finally living my own. Then, in the middle of a quiet Tuesday, my phone lit up. David. A missed call, then another, then a text. "Mom, what have you done? We need to talk. Please call me." My heart stuttered, then steadied. I could have ignored him. Part of me wanted to, but another part, the one that remembered the boy who crawled into my bed after nightmares, picked up. "Mom," he said on the first ring, breathless, "Mrs. Peterson says there's a construction crew at your house." "Your house? What is going on?" "It's not my house anymore," I told him. Silence. "You sold it? Without telling us?" "Yes." That afternoon, they showed up, David looking stunned, Rachel unreadable. "We stopped by," she said. "The new owner said you moved weeks ago. Where are you living?" "Here," I said, gesturing to the light-filled condo. "You hate the beach," David said. "Maybe I used to," I replied, "or maybe I just forgot what I liked." Rachel folded her arms. "You blindsided us." "No," I said evenly, "you just weren't paying attention." David hesitated. "We were planning around that house, for the future." "You mean after I died?" He flinched. "That sounds awful." "That's because it is." The silence between us was heavy, but different now, honest. I realized they'd valued the house more than the woman living in it, and I realized I no longer cared. We didn't go back to how things were, but we built something else. Sunday dinners moved to my condo, no grand table, no place cards, just 5 chairs, good food, and conversation. I babysat once a week, on my schedule. I showed up for the twins when I wanted to, not because I felt obligated. Rachel softened. One afternoon over tea, she admitted she'd started painting again. "It gives me something that's mine," she said. "I'm glad," I told her. "Emma's watching." We didn't speak of the past, but there was a fragile truce. The twins didn't care about the house. To them, I was just grandma at the beach who made the best grilled cheese. It wasn't the family I'd imagined, but it was real. On my 74th birthday, I boarded a plane to Paris, something I'd once believed was for other people. In Montmartre, a street artist sketched my portrait. "You have eyes like someone who's seen great change," he said. He had no idea. While he shaded the last line, my phone buzzed. A message from David: "Sunday dinner when you're back. The twins have a surprise." "Wouldn't miss it," I typed. "I have surprises too." It's strange, silence used to feel like abandonment, now it feels like peace. Boundaries saved me, travel reminded me, solitude taught me. I'm no longer just a mother or grandmother, I'm a woman who sold the house they thought they'd inherit, and built a life they never expected me to live. If you've ever felt discarded or forgotten, remember, you are not what they expect of you, you are what you choose to become. This is my story, finally mine.